and many thanks for joining us on Nationwide, live on Africa's largest television network. I'm Ian Ray John. President Muhammadu Buhari has restated Nigeria's commitment towards constructively supporting multilateral actions aimed at addressing climate change so that a healthy environment can be restored for future generations. Addressing world leaders at the United Nations Conference on Climate Change in Krakow, Poland, the president, however, reiterated his call on international community to support genuine effort at saving Lake Chad from extinction and guaranteeing future security of the region. State House correspondent Adamu Samba reports that the conference has as its theme, Changing Together. And as the Harmattan season sets in, Conservator General of the National Park Service, Ibrahim Goni, has advised Nigerians to avoid bush burning, especially around the national parks. In a statement by the media aide, Zul Yakubu, the Conservator General regretted the attitude of some hunters who engage in uncontrolled bush burning around the national parks to kill the wildlife. To put an end to an environment-friendly practice, the National Park Service has embarked on a series of anti-bush burning campaigns and promised not to relent in educating the public on the dangers of bush burning, especially at this Harmattan period. President Muhammadu Buhari has formally reacted to insinuations in some quarters regarding his rumored cloning, describing the peddlers of such rumors as irreligious people who preferred he was dead. "I am the real Buhari," the president, however, remarked at an interactive session with Nigerians in Krakow, Poland. State House correspondent Adamu Samba has details.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Integrity himself. President Muhammadu Buhari, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
No sooner than President Muhammadu Buhari regained full health, vigor and vitality to forge ahead in dismantling obstacles to national development for a sustainable future, the social media has been awash with rumors on his cloning. And understandably, some Nigerians, for reasons best known to them, have been making an issue out of the matter, but not anymore.
And now you are here with us today. We want to really ask if we are talking to all the lovable Jubilee. Thank you.
The answers of that question must be ignorant and irreligious. Somebody said that I am clone. A lot of people hoped that I was dead. And hoped I died. And poor Vice President, I understand some people have started, in fact, asking for his office, whether he should consider them for being the Vice President because I was dead. They must have embarrassed him a lot because he visited me when I was London convalescent. But it's really me, I assure you. I will soon celebrate my 70th anniversary, and I'm still going strong.
The interactive session, coordinated by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Diaspora Matters, Abike Dabri Erewa, also provided the opportunity for the Nigerian leader to respond to issues of development in the country. He said given the situation inherited, promises made, and the available resources to work with, the governing APC has delivered in the task of securing the country, revamping the economy, and fighting corruption. President Buhari, however, believes that more work still needs to be done, and his administration is not prepared to abdicate its responsibility, but genuinely committed to sustainable growth and development of the country for the good of all.
Somebody asked that, what can you do for me? Campaign for me. I have planned for all Nigerians.
Nigeria's ambassador to Poland, Eric Adagogo, had told the president that Nigerians in that country are law-abiding and well-behaved in pursuing their legitimate businesses.
What I learned from the president is to be upright in whatever we do. And I can swear that I have not seen a more upright person in all of my life as a Nigerian. And I will always support the president because I think he's doing a great job. And I know we have challenges, but I think with a man of our president's caliber, retired General Buhari, at the helm of affairs, will always come true. Nigeria will move forward, and we're going to succeed.
It's not easy to govern, so he's being sincere, and that's one of the things I like about him. He really wants good for the nation. He wants to make some difference.
We are interested to do something for Nigeria, and that is exactly what we are expecting, that if we are given the incentives, we can bring a lot of development.
President Muhammadu Buhari is in Poland to join other world leaders at the United Nations Conference on Climate Change. From Poland, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And the Nigerian Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says traditional rulers should continue to sustain peace advocacy among the people for development of the country. Joshua Ojito reports that the Vice President stated this during a courtesy visit on the Emir of Kefi, Shehu Chindo Yamusa III.
Acknowledging the role of traditional rulers as custodians of people's culture and tradition, the Vice President says they should complement government peace-building process by engaging their subjects in robust dialogue on the need to live in peace. The Vice President emphasizes that the advisory role of traditional rulers is needed most as government sustains its effort in fixing critical infrastructure in the country.
But I believe that the traditional rulership in our country have earned their place as arbiters in so many different ways, in security, in justice at the local level, and even politically, you have proved that they are, very important in the scheme of things. So I think it's an issue that we ought to deliberate more upon. I believe that for the peace and security of our country, for the progress of our country, the respect for traditional institutions must continue. Regard for traditional institutions must continue.
Professor Osinbajo assures Nigerians that the Buhari administration is committed to improving lives of the people through various social investment programs, fixing the economy and sustain the fight against corruption in order to redeem the nation's image. Emir of Kefi, Shehu Chindo Yamusa III, acknowledges the giant strides recorded so far by the present administration in the last 3.5 years. He, however, advocates the need for a constitutional role for traditional rulers to enable them discharge their duties effectively.
Although it was not made by this government, but this government can amend it because you are always available for correction. APC is known with correcting all mistakes and anomalies. We need the government to look at this matter.
The Vice President is in Kefi for the grand finale of President Muhammadu Buhari Polo Tournament. In Kefi, Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
In view of the psychological and emotional trauma victims of Boko Haram insurgency pass through in the Northeast, the Victim Support Fund has commenced the process of reorientating them. The process begins with training for selected community leaders, Kannywood actors and musicians in Hausa language. Executive Director of the Victim Support Fund, Professor Sunday Ochoche, said this is fundamental to restoring peace in the country.
Like they say, war begins in the mind of people. And if you are going to address peace, peace also has to begin in the mind of the people. Yes, there are issues, like I say, that you put in place to help facilitate the process of reaching people's mind. And in times like this, the focus, the target is how to get the right messages.
Actors or filmmakers are said to be role models, and at least with their star power, they can extend the message.
Participants at the training are expected to embark on massive peace campaigns in Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa states. Moving on, and now talking politics, as the 2019 election approaches, the issue of corruption and lack of transparency and accountability in the electoral process continue to reverberate. In this direction, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, is imploring politicians to play according to the rules, as the Commission is already putting them under watch. This was at a retreat for key election stakeholders in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf reports.
This retreat is aimed at institutionalizing transparency, accountability, and anti-corruption issues in the electoral process in Nigeria. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission believes that the inability of some state governments to pay salaries was as a result of massive looting carried out in the past to fund political campaigns.
The surveillance camera is already on, and we are putting all politicians, stakeholders under watch, and we are ready to go to any extent to ensure that we preserve the common patrimony of Nigeria.
Organizers of the retreat and some key election stakeholders are unanimous in their call for a new approach to politicking.
It is convened to amplify stakeholders' engagements, conversation, and understanding.
We are very much alive and responsible to this sacrosanct assignment.
In another development, the presidential candidate of People's Trust, Benga Olawepo Hashim, while receiving a former African Democratic Party's presidential aspirant, Matthias Sado, says Nigeria is destined for greatness and that a united country is also possible with genuine patriotism on the part of all.
Before we unite Nigeria, those who want to lead Nigeria also must unite themselves.
Similarly, the presidential candidate of Nigeria Democratic Congress Party, NDCP, Dr. Johnson Edowosa, while receiving a cross-section of some Nigerian students, assures that the 2019 election is not a do-or-die affair, as he reaffirms his commitment to stand by issue-based campaign.
Every year, I promise that we will create more than 7 million jobs and get the youth working.
The party's 10-point agenda, he says, has attempted to capture Nigeria's areas of need. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf.
Ahead of the 2019 general elections, the National Emira of the Muslim Sisters Organization of Nigeria has called on parents to rise to the responsibility of cautioning their children against any act that might ignite violence. This was part of the series of activities designed by the organization at the 29th National Conference in Abuja. Hakim Dairo reports.
Divorce cases is becoming a global phenomenon. The United Nations estimates that the United States has one of the world's highest rates of divorce cases in the world, with 4.34% accounting for 1,000 people per year. However, the figure could be higher as many other divorce cases go undocumented. While emerging opinion is that divorce can be an alternative to failed marriages, research, however, shows that divorce cases can equally be debilitating to the society. This gathering of Muslim women under the auspices of the Conference of Muslim Sisters Organization hope to use their platform to change the narrative in Nigeria.
The northern part of the country, the rate of divorce is becoming like a fashion.
Members of this religious organization are particularly worried about the high rate of divorce cases in the north as obtained from the courts.
We've reached a stage in time where children need special attention from us, and we need to come together and find ways to curb immorality, all the rising cases of, so many social vices.
The Muslim sisters believe that through sensitization and advocacy, women and youth can be enlightened about modern realities. In Abuja, Garab Muhammad Natala, NTNU.
And moving to Enugu now, about 30,000 farmers in Enugu State will benefit from the Agricultural Empowerment Program of the Buhari Campaign Organization, geared towards ensuring food sufficiency in Nigeria. The National Coordinator of Buhari Campaign Organization, Garba Danladi Pasali, made this known in Enugu during the inauguration of the state executives of the Buhari Campaign Organization. Jude Abugu completes the story.
The team from the Buhari Campaign Organization were in the state to inaugurate and institute its campaign structure, as well as to interface with members of the state chapter of All Farmers Association of Nigeria and non-indigenous in Enugu State. The national coordinator of Buhari Campaign Organization enjoined them to mobilize support for the return of President Muhammadu Buhari in 2019 for him to continue with his empowerment programs, especially in areas of agriculture.
And from today, there will be an office which will be called Buhari Center. In that center, you go and fill your form. You want to be a farmer, or you want to get a farm, or you want to key in. The president is ready to assist you.
The The Southeast coordinator of the campaign organization and his state counterpart assured the team of their resolve to work for the success of President Muhammadu Buhari in 2019.
Stage where we are now, to make sure we deliver APC and deliver our people in order to have our fully representatives in Abuja.
The Buhari campaign team also enlightened the farmers on various agricultural empowerment programs of this administration in which they can access funds and inputs from. In Enugu, Jude Abugu, NTA News.
And still talking politics, the Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria says overhauling the education sector will be its major priority if elected into office in 2019. Presidential candidate of the party, Dr. David Sibo Ahimia, said this on Good Morning Nigeria while speaking on the manifesto and programs of the party ahead of the 2019 general elections, throwing more light on the party. Lydia Sampson reports.
The Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria is one of the new political parties. Though 1 year old, it is optimistic of winning the positions it's vying for in the 2019 general elections because of its manifesto and plan of action.
And so we will be looking at this approach of foreign direct investment to bring about industrialization of our rural communities. When our industrialization drive is going to start, we are going to start from the rural communities. After having taken care of infrastructure,
this party, before we received the certificate of the registration, we are on our ground. We were running an NGO called Global Network for Peace in Nigeria, which metamorphosed to Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria. So before now, we've already structured ourselves, structured the party to the local level.
This is the first in the history of this country for any political party to give women 40% participation. Not even the Belgian conference, they did not give them that. Belgian conference, I think, gave 30-35%. So they are happy that they are being considered as the drivers of the political system.
They said Nigeria is a country with great potentials yet to be harnessed because of neglect of the grassroots by successive administrations. The party also said it would check the issue of security from the roots, which is always traced to impunity and injustice. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Many thanks, Lydia. And if you just joined us, you're watching Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. It's now time to go over to Lagos, where Michael will bring us up to speed with stories trending in that zone.
Thank you, Inewe, and welcome to Lagos. The Western Naval Command of the Nigerian Navy has concluded its 2018 sea exercise aimed at ensuring combat proficiency for officers and vessels under its area of responsibility. Dotun Ogunyemi reports that 8 vessels and 2 helicopters took part in the exercise.
This is the NNS Unity, one of the vessels that took part in the exercise. And for 2 days, this ship served as a training ground for several simulations. The exercise, codenamed Amnon Beneng, is expected to focus on the operational readiness of vessels under the Western Naval Command. Flag Officer Commanding Western Naval Command, Rear Admiral Abilan Galabak, reveals that the strong presence and activities of the Nigerian Navy have deterred pirates from operating on Nigerian waters in the last 3 months.
Exercise component is therefore being conducted pursuant to the objective and the furtherance of the Nigerian Naval Staff mission, which is, I quote, to develop a naval force that is well trained, organized, and highly motivated to discharge its constitutional roles professionally and efficiently for the defense of Nigeria in ensuring her economic prosperity.
Sea exercises ranging from gunnery to fleet maneuvering, tracking, medical evacuation, as well as search and rescue were simulated. Now, this simulation shows Nigerian Navy officers coming on board an hijacked merchant ship. Now, earlier when the ship was hijacked, the last communication signals were sent out by the ship's crew, which then informed the Nigerian Navy Information Center to send out helicopters to find out the exact location of the ship. This exercise demonstrates the readiness and capabilities of the Navy in protecting Nigerian maritime assets. From the Nigerian Navy ship Unity, Dotun Ogumyemi, NTA News.
A book that encapsulates the role of youth in nation building through affirmative action has been presented to the public in Lagos. The publication, titled Behind Rhetoric, Youth Empowerment and Political Voice in Nigeria, is produced by the Baywood Foundation, chaired by Chris Baywood, Ibe. Elizabeth Omori reports.
Youths the world over are great assets to developing the economy of any nation. In Nigeria today, the youths dominate the entertainment industry and gradually taking over the world of entrepreneurship. No doubt, they contribute their quota to the gross domestic product of the country. They are, however, still faced with myriads of challenges such as unemployment, lack of access to funds, violence, lack of parental support, and peer pressure. To this end, a book that seeks to provide insights to changing the narratives has been presented to the public. The multiple-authored book produced by Emperor Chris Baywood Ibe chronicles the essence of engaging youths in governance and policy making.
Nigeria being one of the, or being the largest African nation with more populous youth demography, it's a question of making a deliberate policy, like we said, affirmative action.
The 18-chapter publication with 401 pages, the reviewer says, deals with the need to harness innovative capacity of the youths.
That book is meant for everybody. It challenges, it informs, it encourages, it spurs on for you to know what opportunities you have, and it tells you how to seize those opportunities.
The youths were urged to strengthen their voices politically, embrace education, and shun acts capable of tarnishing their aspirations. In Lagos, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has adjourned judgment in a motion seeking final forfeiture of 2.2 billion naira recovered from a former Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Adeola Amosu. Vera Chiwamba was at the court report that the court also fixed 19th of December for continuation of trial in the case of former Acting Director General of NIMASA.
The court had issued an interim order of forfeiture on the 2.2 billion naira recovered from the former Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Adeola Amosu. This followed an ex parte motion filed by the EFCC. The commission had argued that the sums were reasonably suspected to be proceeds of unlawful activities. Justice Mojisola Olatoregu had also, in addition, issued an interim forfeiture of 190 million naira recovered from the former Air Force Director of Finance and Budget, Air Commodore Olubenga Gbadebo, and 101 million naira recovered from Solomon Enterprises, a company linked to Amosu. Judgment on the final forfeiture could not be delivered today because the judge was attending a seminar. Amosu and the company Solomon Enterprises are the respondents. The case of former Acting Director General of NIMASA, Haruna Jauro, standing trial over alleged 304 million naira charge preferred against him by the EFCC, was not heard because the court did not sit. Trial continues on the 19th of December. In Lagos, Viera Chimuba, NTA News.
We now go over to our Kaduna Network Center, where Rukiat Umar Farouk will bring you up to speed on happenings in that center. Hello, Rukiat. Good to see you.
Thank you, Michael. Good to see you too, and welcome to Kaduna Network Center. In realization of the critical roles of electioning monitoring bodies, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has unified the groups under one umbrella and organized a capacity building program for members in the Northwest Zone. Abdullahi Muhammad says this is to ensure effective monitoring of the 2019 general elections. His reports.
Before the 2015 elections, 3 key electoral monitoring support groups operated independent of each other. Today, the Independent National Electoral Commission has agreed that these 3 key support groups come together and effectively monitor the 2019 election. In line with these, officers from the Independent National Electoral Commission are here trying to improve their capacity as to the kind of roles that they are expected to play to ensure that these key monitoring groups perform effectively towards the 2019 elections.
Under the EMSC is now an enhanced work frame, and this will give the Commission a 360-degree view on the implementation of electoral activities across all its operational level, from the headquarters to the state offices and also to the LGAs.
Those who are here, as I said, they are the administrative secretaries of the state offices, the head of departments of the state offices, as well as the resident electoral commissioners. Therefore, you can see what it is about. It's all about the plan for the 2019 general election.
INEC officers from 9 states across the Northwest attended the workshop. In Kaduna, Abdullah Muhammad, NTN News.
Away from politics now on education, Senate Committee on Education has reiterated its commitment to the provision of quality technical education through necessary legislation that will fast-track federal government's job creation drive and diversification of the economy. Chairman of the committee, Barrow Jibrin, gave the indication when he led other members of the Committee on Oversight visits to the National Board for Technical Education, Kaduna. Again, Abdullahi Muhammad reports.
Besides appropriation of fund, the Senate Committee on Education says it is dedicated to the prudent utilization of such funds. Hence, its visit to the National Board for Technical Education. The committee studied the books of the board, seeking explanation where necessary. The committee chairman said monitoring the activities of the board will help in repositioning technical institutions for better performance.
When you do this kind of exercise, that allows everyone to check what is going on the legislative angle, all right, and that creates the openness, the transparency, the accountability that is designed in a democracy.
The Executive Secretary of the National Board for Technical Education, represented by the Director of Physical Planning, Ekpenyong Edit Ekpenyong, said the board will continue to discharge its responsibilities in a more prudent manner. In Kaduna, Abdullah Muhammad, NTN News.
A tailoring initiative by the Nigerian Air Force is yielding dual benefits for youth empowerment and mass production of military uniforms in Kaduna. Suleiman Abdullahi Regachkun reports.
Youth engagement in productive venture and the need by the Nigerian Air Force to ensure self-sufficiency in the production of uniforms for all armed forces informed the setting up of the tailoring center by the Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar in 2017.
Ola Bibello and Eogu Frederick are among the 113 military personnel and civilians trained under this program.
In other areas too, for example, in our bases, there is what is called the Bayeta program. The Bayeta program is used, it's another avenue like this one, to develop the capacity of personnel, their children, and host communities.
Ministry of Labor and Productivity presented letter of accreditation to the center, making it a certificate awarding institute for apprentices.
We have discussed at the Empower team that we are recommending this center for our Empower trainees for tailoring and garment making.
The center, the Nigerian Air Force said, will be sustained and expanded to a full-fledged textile production center, which will in turn eliminate importation of both clothing materials and their finished products.
That will make the Nigerian Air Force fully self-sufficient in both production and sewing of uniforms.
The trainees have so far produced 52,000 pairs of uniforms for the Air Force and other security operatives. In Kaduna, I am Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachikum, NTA News.
Good to have you back. The bill on discrimination against persons with disabilities before the National Assembly, if passed and assented to by the President, will ensure physically challenged persons have their rightful place in nation building and governance. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, stated this at this year's International Day of Persons with Disabilities in Abuja. Ahmed Ondas Ahmed now reports.
There is no doubt that there is ability in disability, and for this reason, United Nations set aside the 3rd of December every year as Global Day for Persons with Disabilities. The day is meant to x-ray issues affecting the welfare of physically challenged persons and how government and society can contribute to their upliftment. In recognizing the contribution of some physically challenged staff in the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, awards were given to motivate them and give them a sense of belonging.
Today's event, before I saw my challenges as a hindrance to my life, but as time goes on and where I find myself at last, I get to understand that in any situation you have to give glory to God. And you don't need to allow any challenges that you face to distract you from whatever you are doing.
So based on that, we have to empower them and we have to include them and carry them along in all its ramifications. So,
Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, says the present administration's policies are friendly and all-accommodating, especially in preparation to the 2019 general elections for physically challenged persons.
The number of persons with disabilities in the public service has increased significantly in the last few years, and I appeal to the organized private sector.
The theme for this year's celebration is empowering persons with disabilities and ensuring inclusiveness and equality. Ahmed Ondas Ahmed, NTA News.
In the same light, Nigerians living with one form of disability or the other, especially those in the civil service, have been assured of total inclusiveness and empowerment to enable them contribute more to national development. The assurance was given at the launch of the Survey of Persons Living with Disabilities in the Federal Civil Service. Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyo-Ita, said the launch of the survey was arranged to commemorate the 2018 International Day of Persons Living with Disabilities, and that the President Buhari administration will continue to provide the necessary support to ensure the success of the survey.
Of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, under my watch, will continue to provide PWDs with the necessary tools to enhance their capacities, performance, service delivery, and support them in setting their priorities towards the overall development of the country.
I will appeal to my persons with disability. We should cooperate during these disabilities. Make yourself available, make positive contribution, because whatever you do today will affect tomorrow.
She said all ministries, departments and agencies of government are also respected to provide necessary support to the team. And away from the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, Nigerians, especially those in rural areas, will now have access to digital world through a gateway provided by 3 young Nigerian innovators who created a special mobile application called Biptool. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday was at the unveiling of the OYI-1 affordable smart mobile phone in Abuja.
This trio, John Eno, Michael Ige and Mayowahi Mikaye, are the innovators who created the application embedded in the phone with all-in-one messaging, video calls and financial services ecosystem. Unveiling the OYI-1 phone, the brains behind the system said the phone will help in connecting remote and rural areas in Nigeria and Africa with more than 1 billion underserved businesses and consumers.
Education. These apps will be pre-installed from factory. You will have somebody, a user, who is in a place where there's no bank presence. From their mobile app, they can receive money, they can send money, they can buy online. That gateway is also going to be an access for businesses and those people that have services to render for these people to access them.
We knew the kind of platform we climbed to get to where we are, and basically what we're just doing is provide a platform also for other people to climb from where they are to where they should be or where they want to be. Giving them a platform to access services like e-health, e-agriculture, e-education. We've seen a lot of things around the world.
The unique selling point of the smartphone is the rural connectivity Wi-Fi, hotspots, and terminal low-cost satellites.
Our smartphone is not just a smartphone. It's coming with a nano satellite that is a satellite technology with a very affordable rate that people in the rural areas where telecommunications are not present can still use our services. So these are the areas that we are targeting, about 40 million Nigerians.
The BIP Tool affordable smartphone has a long battery life, GPS supported, and 8 gigabytes built-in storage capacity. Adebola, Brookslyn Sunday, NTA News.
Many thanks, Adebola. Now time to move to Makudi, where Charles Abba is standing by.
And a warm welcome to Makudi. Governor Samuel Otom has called on security agencies to intensify efforts in mopping up illegal weapons as part of its statutory responsibility to ensure that the 2019 general elections are conducted peacefully. The governor said this at the expanded caucus meeting of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Benue State Chapter. Bem Hanya reports.
The expanded caucus meeting of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Benue State Chapter, is intended to communicate to members decisions taken by the party at the highest level. Samuel Otom pledged the commitment of his administration to assist security agencies mop up illegal weapons in the state to ensure that peace reigns before, during, and after the general elections.
The emphasis of this campaign this time, right from the national level, is that we will all go back to our world and community level to ensure we get it.
Officials of the party and other members in their contributions said the PDP has resolved to have one campaign organization for all elections, including presidential, National Assembly, governorship, and state assembly elections. In Makudi, Bem Hanya, NTA News.
Taraba State government says it will inject more funds into campaign against drug abuse. This follows the increase in the rate of drug abuse and its related crimes in the state. Joseph Osen reports.
The National Drug Law has expressed concern over increasing level of drug abuse among Nigerian youth, especially in the northern part of the country, with 40% engaged in it. The scourge is also taking its toll on youth in Taraba State, leading to social vices such as lawlessness, violence, gangsterism, among other crimes. Worried by the development, the state has charged security agencies to do everything possible to stamp out drug abuse and express willingness to collaborate with any organization championing campaigns against it. One of such is with a non-governmental organization, Hope Health Center. The health center was established in 2017 by the wife of the state governor, Anna Ishaku, for the treatment of persons with substance use disorder.
We already have a site. We have a drawing. I know we are going to have a rehabilitation center.
Unless you are faced with this problem, you may never, ever know how bad it can be.
Among rehabilitation facilities at the center include skill acquisition training, in and outdoor games, film shows, treatment of minor physical injuries, among other medical attention. In Jalingo, Joseph Sound Utsen, NTA News.
In a bid to frontally tackle present and future challenges, management and staff of NTA Makudi Network Center have had an interface on the way forward. This is coming on the heels of redeployment of a new zonal director, Pam Dung Nyam, to the center. Everin Solomon reports.
The meeting, which had in attendance management and other staff of the station, was to discuss burning issues that have bedeviled the center and to foster ways to addressing them. The zonal director, Mr. Pam Dunyan, said he is familiar with the challenges confronting the station and will see to it that peculiar issues such as payment of liabilities and staff morale are given priority. He further said indiscipline among staff and sabotage of station's effort will not be tolerated.
All we are expected to do is to come in here when we are due to be here, deliver and discharge your obligations to NTA and go back home.
Some management staff who spoke emphasized the need for teamwork. Other members of staff are optimistic that Mr. Pam Dunyan will give the desired leadership and pledge their cooperation. Mr. Pam Dunyan, who was recently deployed from NTA headquarters Abuja, had served for 5 years in Makurdi as the Assistant Director Programs before his present assignment in Makurdi. Iverin Solomon, NTA News.
And that report does it from Makurdi, but Nationwide continues shortly in Abuja after this timeout. Please don't go away.
Welcome back. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has arrived in Istanbul, Turkey, ahead of the UNWTO UNESCO World Conference on Tourism and Culture. Anthony Forson reports.
The minister, on arrival at the Atatürk International Airport in Istanbul, was received by the Nigerian ambassador to Turkey, Ilyasu Paragalda, and his Cameroonian counterpart, Lawal Gashagab. At a welcome reception held for foreign dignitaries attending the conference, Secretary General United Nations World Tourism Organization Zura Pololishkavili assured that the forum will offer the participants the opportunity of fostering closer ties with members and stakeholders for a better understanding of the industry. The third UNWTO UNESCO Conference on Tourism and Culture has as its theme, for the benefit of all. It will have a special ministerial segment that will bring together ministers of tourism and culture, giving Nigeria strategic efforts in growing a sustainable tourism sector. The minister explained what Nigeria is bringing to the table.
This administration in particular has put a lot of emphasis on tourism because we see it again as another way of diversifying the economy. But you see, the unique thing about tourism is that it not only diversifies the economy, but it's one of the most potent tools of inclusion. It's the only industry so far that is rooted in the people. It's the industry that has direct relationship with the people and their culture. So it's not just about bringing in tourists to see your cultural, sites. It's also helping to include the people.
The week-long event is aimed at creating a more inclusive partnership between tourism and culture stakeholders. From Istanbul in Turkey, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
And away from Turkey, participants at the 16th Mines and Money Conference in London have acknowledged the great strides the federal government has made in repositioning the solid minerals sector in Nigeria. Minister of State for Mines and Steel Development, Abubakar Bawa-Buhari, who attended the conference, is optimistic that the solid minerals sector will experience more foreign investors, as some of them have indicated interest following the ease of doing business drive and sincerity in policy implementation by the present administration.
I'm not telling them anything new. They know that the potentials are there. They know Nigeria is a mineral nation, but the perception has been that we've concentrated on oil and gas, and that is gradually changing. What they want to know, what are the incentives that are there and regulations. We also had investors that were in Nigeria before 2001 and they left, but they are now thinking of coming back to Nigeria with the new attention now being given to the mining sector. And with our laws and the incentives for who will be investors that has really attracted their attention. So we are expecting a lot of them to come into our country.
The 3 days conference brought together key players in the mining industry across the globe. And now a bit of sports. 2018 President Muhammadu Buhari Polo Tournament concluded with a Mani Polo of Kaduna beating home-based Kefi Pernis. Vice President Jimmy Oshibajo, who represented President Muhammadu Buhari, commends organizers for establishing an endowment fund for the tournament to assist the less privileged. And that story wraps up our package on Nationwide today. Many thanks for investing your time.